And you've already established that after the shooting, Mr. Rosenbaum never says a word, correct?
Correct.
You don't know, as you sit here today, what Mr. Rosenbaum was thinking, do you?
You mean at the time of the shooting?
Yes. Or at any point in his life. So your interpretation of what he was trying to do or what he was intending to do or anything along those lines is complete guesswork, isn't it?
Well, he said, "Fuck you," and then he reached for the weapon. Richie McGinnis, RICHIEMCGINNISS.
How are you currently employed?
I'm the video director for the Daily Caller.
Your interview 3 days after this incident says that Mr. Rosenbaum was already falling forward when the defendant used the gun and discharged the shots.
I don't see why that's inconsistent with what I'm saying right now. He was lunging, falling. I would use those as synonymous terms in this situation because basically, he threw his momentum towards the weapon, and when the weapon wasn't there, his momentum was continuing, and that's the point at which he fired. So if you use the word falling or lunging, his momentum was going forward, and that's the point at which he fired the shot.
And I stepped in and told everybody, chill out, calm down, stop doing that. I turned and had an exchange with one of the protesters, and I kind of explained to that protester, hey, I get what you're trying to do, but not this. And when I turned around, Rosenbaum was right there in front of my face, yelling and screaming, and I said, dude, back up, just chill. I don't know what your problem is. And he goes, you know what? If I catch any of you guys alone tonight, I'm going to fucking kill you.
And he said that to you?
Correct.
Did he say that to the defendant as well?
The defendant was there, so yes.
I wanted to show that to you because there's a moment after the shooting where you are taking your shirt off. Why did you do that?
Because I presume that, given how close they were, that he had been hit, and that my dad was an ER doctor, and if something's bleeding, you apply pressure. So that was the goal.
We see in the video that the defendant runs around the cars and comes close to you. But at that particular moment, as you're standing there next to Mr. Rosenbaum's body, did you know that was the defendant?
I did not.
What did you think was going on with that figure next to you?
Well, the way that I saw it from it was kind of a tunnel vision situation. So I was looking at Mr. Rosenbaum on the ground and attempting to find where the wounds were, and it was like a pair of legs arrived next to me from my peripheral vision, and I just screamed, "Call 911." And then I saw a hand reach into the pocket, and I assumed that was what was happening. And actually, when I got up, watching the video after the fact, I was facing Mr. Rittenhouse, but given that I was in the process of removing my shirt, I was actually looking at the ground, and I told the police, and I actually remember the moment the next morning that I realized that was Mr. Rittenhouse when I saw the video.
Mr. Rittenhouse turns around, has a firearm in his arms, hands, correct?
Correct.
The AR, as we refer
Correct.
to it.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenbaum is running towards Kyle Rittenhouse, correct?
Correct.
And he continues to advance until he makes a lunge for the weapon, correct?
Yes. It appeared that he was lunging for the front portion of the weapon.
You know, as you sit here today, that he yelled the words F you, but the whole words, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was the tone of his voice as he yelled that?
Very angry.
As he goes at Kyle Rittenhouse, correct?
Correct.
And your perception was, that evening, as you watched it, he was going for the barrel of the gun.
Correct. I think it was very clear to me that he was reaching specifically for the weapon, and because that's where his hands went. He's in a low position running, and then when he went for the front portion of the rifle, his he lunged forward like that. It was more like out and down because the rifle was aimed it was lower than where his hands were, so his hands were actually going kind of downward as well,
And
towards the barrel.
When he goes for the barrel, what does Kyle do with the gun?
He dodged around it
And then does what?
and then leveled the weapon and fired. And it wasn't necessarily leveled because Mr. Rosenbaum was in a lower position, so it was still somewhat angled towards the ground, but it was leveled at his body.